Hey, everybody, hold on a sec. Oh, I need to find out why it is not going live. There we go. Cool. Welcome to the Art of Relationship show. Little technical goof or hiccup for a little bit. Um, so I'm back. Regular schedule. Wednesday night, the Art of Relationship show live. No edits. I do it live. Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's Detroit, New York City time. And I welcome everybody to the show. If you are new and you have not watched any of the episodes before, you can check out all my episodes, little videos all over the place. Just check up at LoveGuruGreg, and you can check up at YouTube is probably the easiest way to check out all the videos, all the episodes I've stuff. If you happen to miss the show, or you can check on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, what else? Facebook, definitely. But the easiest my website, the Art of Relationships show, or I'm sorry, the Art of Relationships.org. This is the Art of Relationships show. So I want people to chime in, join in, share this on your timeline, your pages, whatever you want to call them. I'd love to get as many people involved to answer, or to get in Q&As, okay? I'd love it for you to give me questions that I can help you with your relationship aspects, dating, marriage, and intimacy. And we're going to be talking about intimacy tonight. And it might not be necessarily what you think. It's going to be tied in with sex, of course, right? But most people, when you mention about intimacy, they automatically jump right in to physical, about the sex aspects, okay? So throw in your questions down below, and it doesn't have to be related to intimacy like I'm talking about tonight. It can be anything to deal that I can help you with dating, relationship, marriage. Maybe you're going through a challenge in your life, in your marriage or relationship now, your dating life, and I want to help you as best I can and answer your questions. That's what I'm about. I love helping people out. I've been specializing in couples counseling professionally, licensed professional counselor here in Michigan, Metro Detroit area, and helping with over 21 and a half years now. It's been a long time. Hey, Miguel. Yeah, I am a licensed professional counselor. I have a postgraduate. You need a minimum of a master's degree, but I have a postgraduate aspect. So that's where I want you to be able to look at what is happening and what is helping you with your relationship. And it's, using my evidence-based, empirically based research, plus what I actually do helping couples in my office is what I do and what I base the Art of Relationship show on, okay? So let's kick it off. And again, share the show, share the episode on your timeline, on your pages. I want to get as many questions as possible that I can help you with. And disclosure comment, this does not replace actual, professional counseling that I do in my office or virtual aspect, okay? So that's where I want you to be able to look at to be able to help you out. But because of, HIPAA guidelines and everything else, that's where I want you to be able to look at. It is different, so I have to throw that disclosure out there, okay? So that's where I want to help as many people out. So when you think about intimacy, everybody jumps to sex, the physical intimacy, right? And we're going to get into that as well. But I want you, if you can hear, I want you to be able to, listen up and look at maybe, Adria, I appreciate you tuning in. Miguel, as I said, I appreciate it showing up, okay? So, yeah, I'm the real deal. I'm not some makeshift coach that people comment on, or they just throw that name out there, coach. No, I have a lot of education, a lot of experience helping couples, and I also have a lot of experience with grief, with trauma as well, rape survivors, severe physical abuse, that type of stuff, okay? sexual assault, watching someone die, get killed in front of you. So I have a lot of other experience too, but I do specialize in couples, marriage, sexual counseling, and I've been doing it for a long time. So I'd love to hear your questions, or not hear them, see your questions, what I can help you with as well. So going back to talking about intimacy, a lot of people jump into, I mentioned this, I repeated myself, talking about, the physical intimacy. They look at maybe kissing, the actual act of, physical intimacy, sex, that type of thing, any form of sex, right? But you look at what is going on, and I'm going to, make a comment as well, okay? And I want people to understand that any, comments derogatory, or, people joking around on TikTok, Instagram, whatever, you're just going to get ignored. So, I want to help people as much as possible, and that's what I am. I'm not here. I love joking around, but I'm not going to joke around too much about this stuff. Okay, so when you talk about intimacy, I want you to be able to understand um, emotional, mental, and of course physical intimacy. Okay, and we look at what do these look like to you, and everybody talks about it's not a one size fits all. I get couples in my office, have for years, like I said, over 21 and a half years, working with couples, and they talk about, Greg, how should we be? And I'm like, I don't know. I want to know how you want to be so I can help you get there. What does intimacy look like? What does love look like? And how I can help you with intimacy and make you feel more loved, more connected, emotionally, mentally, and of course, physically. Okay. So that's where I want to go with this. And when you look at emotional intimacy, what comes to mind, right? A lot of people might look at intimacy, could be compliments. Absolutely, right? It could be affirmations. Man, you're such a great mom, you're a great dad. That would be part of a compliment as well. And affirmations, man, you did a great job. You did a phenomenal job, cleaning the house. I appreciate it. Or, I appreciate you getting you know, tires put on the car, that type of stuff. Or I appreciate you shoveling the snow. So you look at, compliments, affirmations definitely can be emotional levels of intimacy, okay? And when you look at, as I adjust a little bit, and that's where I want you to be able to look at, as I adjust the phone. Oh, there we go. So I want to be able to look at, what does that mean to you? And when do you feel closest to one another, more connected on an emotional level? And emotional mental aspect can go hand in hand, but they also can be separate. So when you look at emotional, do you look at, do you show compassion? Do you show empathy to your partner? Right? Emotional is also looking at, are you a good listener? Do you listen to your partner? Or does it come back to, what? Or is it just a situation where, what? Your partner doesn't feel heard. They don't feel listened to. They feel like, oh, you're not even listening because you talk over me. You interrupt me. So are you really listening to me? And that does not feel like you're intimately connected with your partner. Again, not a right or wrong, but it's looking at tips that I can give you right now to help you increase the intimacy level on the emotional aspect. Okay. So are you listening to one another? Are you being compassionate to one another? Okay. So are you looking at those other aspects? Do you show empathy? Do you show your partner that you care about what they're going through? If they have a bad day, if they have a, nasty day, are you, oh, I'm not in the mood to hear you. So you look at, most people want to feel like they're cared for. They want to feel maybe important. They want to feel safe, emotionally safe, that they can talk about anything. And this is part of the emotional intimacy that I refer to a lot of people, okay? So what does emotional intimacy look like to you? And what does it look like to your partner? Again, everybody is different. And that's why I want you to be more specific when people talk about intimacy. And I'm breaking it down, like I said, into the three components, or I think three components: emotional intimacy, mental intimacy, and of course, physical intimacy. Okay. So those emotional intimacy could be showing compassion. If someone's sick, right? Are you taking care of them? Are you caring for them? Or do you just blow it off and make fun of them? Oh, you're not that sick, that type of thing. So when there's emotional safety, that's when people feel the most connected. And if that emotional safety is damaged through, ridicule and ripping each other apart, degrading one another, those type of things are going to kill and destroy that emotional intimacy aspect. So you look at, what do you do to support one another? What do you do to pick each other up in a positive way versus, maybe one of you are all criticizing, all ripping each other apart. You never do this. You never, instead of, hey, I'd like it if you do this, or, you know what, I was upset that didn't happen. That's okay, but you're not ripping each other apart. You're making it safe enough, emotionally safe enough, to talk about anything and everything. And that's all part of having that emotional intimacy and emotional trust with each other. Those things are crucial. They're important, right? So you look at, are you able to talk to your partner about this stuff? And this is part of emotional maturity. This is part of, not only emotional, but mental maturity. And I can get into sexual maturity as well. And that could go on another show, instead of, being immature and throwing out different comments going back and forth. And these aspects, when I talk about, intimately mature, emotionally mature, mentally mature, that doesn't mean you don't joke around, have fun. Not at all. It's about that what is disrespectful to your partner, and what you do that, doesn't make your partner feel good, or doesn't make them feel emotionally safe in the relationship. And when you start feeling emotionally safe, and this is part of, when I talk about being able to open up and being vulnerable with one another, this is part of the emotional safety that you want to feel. That you're not going to be criticized, you're not going to be ripped apart, that you're going to feel heard, okay? And that's why I said a lot of the emotional intimacy and mental intimacy, they sort of can go hand in hand and integrated, absolutely. But the mental aspect is also looking at, are you open to feedback? Are you open to, hey, you know what, I disagree with that. And, oh yeah, tell me why. Instead of that, if I tell you how I feel, or, what I think about or disagree, oh my God, we could get into politics, all that stuff, but I'm not going to. But these are the areas where I want people to be able to look at, the mental uh, intimacy. Okay. Can you talk about stuff and still feel safe enough to talk about it? And you're not going to be belittled. Oh, that's stupid. You're stupid. The name calling aspect. Okay. That is part of, the degrading aspect that I talked about, along with the emotional intimacy. But the mental can be talking about sharing ideas, that you feel safe enough sharing about, maybe it's financial aspects. Okay. Maybe it's about, you want to move. Those mental aspects, it could be about problem solving, how you problem solve together, and without belittling, degrading each other. Those type of things are different from the emotional aspect. They, like I said, they can integrate, absolutely. But it's also, are you able to brainstorm together? Are you able to problem solve together in a safe way? And that builds definitely mental intimacy, right? Hey, I'm thinking we should move this year instead of next year because interest rates, or because I'm worried about home prices, or maybe if you rent, because, right, owning a home is not always the best thing for everybody. Maybe renting's better. So it's being able to talk about those, and why you think and why you disagree, without feeling, destroyed, without feeling belittled again, without feeling like, you're belittling, degrading each other, calling each other name, that's a dumb idea, that type of thing. So the mental element goes into problem solving, absolutely, goes into planning, absolutely. It also could go into, what are your views on parenting right? Finances, all those things, building for the future, whatever that means to each one of you. Maybe one of you, both of you want to open a business together, whatever it is, that you're able to talk about it and brainstorm and work out those elements or disagreements. You're able to work as a team together to problem solve. So that's where I look at with as I trip over my tongue again, that I look at the emotional intimacy or the mental intimacy, I'm sorry, when it comes to problem solving and planning and, building for the future, those type of things, right? And of course, the emotional intimacy that most people talk about, or hey, Gabrielle, I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. So that's where I want people to be able to look at, of course, jumping into the physical elements of intimacy, right? Everybody talks about sex, right? Foreplay, all those aspects. And that's part of the physical intimacy. Absolutely. But other things that a lot of people ignore or don't even think about intimacy in this way on a deeper level about sensuality, right? And everybody talks about, intimacy is sex, but sensuality doesn't have to be sexual in nature, right? So physical intimacy also can be, are you holding hands? Are you caressing each other? Are you maybe giving a massage to each other? A massage can be very intimate, but it doesn't have to be sexual in nature. It can be if that's what you want. I'm not saying that, but I'm talking about outside of a sexual realm. And a lot of people, well, every time you touch me, it's in a sexual way, right? You grab my boobs, you grab my butt, you grab my, private areas, my crotch, whatever. Hey, Erica, I appreciate you tuning in. So these are areas where I want people to look at that if I get complaints still over all the years, you know what, Greg, all the time he touches me, or even in same-sex relationships, two women, every time I get touched it's a groping, it's grabbing, it's all that stuff. It's never in a non-sexual way. And that's where I teach about the the physical intimacy that I'm talking about now. It can be holding hands. It can be just a passionate hug. It can be sensual, a sensual caress, those type of things, right? Even, even if it's kissing, definitely that's, physical intimacy, because kissing can be deep. It's passionate. It can be all those aspects, right? Kissing each other. Even, a tickle fight can be physically intimate with one another, the playfulness, right? Joking around with each other. So you look at what are the physical intimacy aspects that you're looking for that might be in a non-sexual way. Of course, sexual too. And sensual, what do those mean, right? So I feel like, oh, you just want to, everybody's heard it. You know what? I feel like just a piece of meat. Or I just feel like you're just wanting to hit it and quit it. You just want to get off. And it's just a physical, maybe pleasure, but the emotional intimacy, the physical intimacy of that is gone. So I want you to integrate definitely the mental, the emotional intimacy when it comes into the physical element. Because I still, after all these years, I still hear a lot of complaints that I don't feel emotionally connected when we're making sweet love, right? I don't feel emotionally connected. I'd love to stare in her eyes while we're, making love, and she doesn't want to, or he doesn't want to. He's uncomfortable. She's uncomfortable. And these are part of the intimacy levels that a lot of people can be afraid of or intimidated by, because it's one of those things. Oh, I can have sex, no big deal, get naked. But I'm not looking at anyone's eyes because, oh my God, that's too intimate. So that's where you look at the difference between, the physical act of sex versus that it's emotional. It's mental, it's intimate, that you feel your heart and soul are connected, okay? So I mentioned those type of tips, okay? So you look at, can you give each other a massage without it being sexual? That can be very intimate, right? Giving the other person pleasure. can be intimate. A lot of people are all about, oh, I want pleasure, I'm going to get pleasure. Oh, I want you to give me a massage, but you never give it back, right? And that's where that ebb and flow about being selfish, being, it's all about you come into play, that it's not mutual, it's not reciprocated. You don't have that ebb and flow, give and take back, that it's all one sided, okay? So that's where I want people to understand. Number one, what is, you know, emotional intimacy to you? What is mental intimacy to you? And I gave you some examples, and that doesn't mean they have to fit you. They're just getting you to think differently, to think, maybe what does that look like to me? And of course, physical intimacy is what I'm talking about now. Okay. So, it's those type of things that you want to feel connected. You want to feel that it's not just physical pleasure, which is great, but that might get old, and people are like, oh, it'll never get old, Greg. But if you don't feel that emotional connectedness, that you don't feel like it's making love, that it's just knocking boots, right? There's a difference just between sex and making love or being emotionally connected with your partner. And a lot of people will feel that. And this goes for any gender, men, women, non-binary, where they don't feel that emotional connection when they're making sweet love, knocking boots, whatever you want to call it. And it's sad. I get it. But I try to look at the safety and security of what is needed, what feels. Not only that, it is also about the emotional and mental and physical intimacy level within yourself. Do you feel confident enough? Do you feel safe enough within yourself? And it's very difficult when there's, to feel emotionally, mentally, and physically intimate with somebody, especially when there's maybe trauma in your past. You grew up being sexually abused as a kid, a teen, rape survivors, that type of aspect. Or maybe, none of that happened, but then you were deeply in love as a teenager or young adult, and that person cheated on you, or they broke your heart and they didn't want to be with you anymore, and it rips. So, oh, forget that. I'm not going to open my heart and soul. But to be intimate with somebody, you have to open up your heart and soul, because that level of intimacy is going to get blunted, if you will. It's not going to be on a deep level. It's going to be more of a surface level. And that's where you're looking at. I just feel like something's missing. I just feel like I'm not getting the love that I want, or feeling the emotional connection that I want. And a lot of people, it could be because, number one, they don't know how to do it. They're afraid to do it because of past heartbreak, trauma, or maybe what if they just don't feel that with you? Now what comes into mind, right? So going back to, ways of feeling connected, physically connected on an intimate level. I already mentioned massage. It could be a foot massage. It could be caressing, rubbing each other's hands, right? You get me? That type of thing. There's a lot of elements where you can go after and looking at those type of things. It could be, caressing each other, caressing each other's legs, arms, shoulder, maybe a little neck massage, right? Maybe running your hands through my hair. Well, I have no hair, right? Not my hair, but you get me. Maybe that's intimate and your partner loves that. And that goes for any gender, right? So the physical intimacy in non-sexual ways can come about in these levels, okay? Another avenue that I try to teach people that can be very, very difficult is, are you able to lay face to face with each other? You can lay in the bed, on a couch, on the floor with each other, okay? Hey, Alyssa, hey, what's going on? I appreciate you joining in. It's been a minute. I haven't talked to you in a while. So I hope life is good. So looking at those elements about, you could lay together, right? Face to face, right? Or you can sit next to each other or face to face with each other. You can stand face to face. So it doesn't matter. But how long can you stare into each other's eyes? And it's very uncomfortable for some people, especially if there's been a breach of trust, one cheated, and you're trying to heal on that, which that's, a huge thing I specialize in with couples. And yes, you can heal after an affair and become even more connected and have that trust back, okay? Yes, that is possible. Absolutely. But, you know, that you can stare into each other's eyes. Part of it, it's physical, right? But it's also the emotional and to feel each other's love for one another. But a lot of people, like I said, it can be uncomfortable, especially if that connection is not there. It hasn't been there for a while. You feel disconnected in a relationship. These are tips that can help bring that emotional, mental, and physical connection back, okay? So you can stare into each other's eyes for a while, whatever. Another way that I try to teach people or help people with not only that is that you embrace each other, hold each other for 5 minutes, okay? And everybody's looking, oh, 5 minutes, I can do that. That's nothing, right? And if you look at a lot of people, if they've ever, you've been scared. I used to be scared to death of public speaking years and years ago. And, you look at 1 minute feels like an hour. So when you're uncomfortable with this or disconnected, that 5 minutes of holding each other, caressing each other, and you can stand up, sit next to each other. You can caress each other laying down. Again, doesn't matter. Whatever works for you, to just caress each other. You don't have to say anything. It's just allowing each other to connect. Okay, it's looking at ways to feel each other, to feel each other's heartbeat and connect on that level. Okay. So another way is to build emotional intimacy and mental intimacy as well. Is, are you able to express, and I would hope so, but it's hard. Are you able to express your biggest fears, your biggest insecurities? Maybe it's losing one another, getting your heart broken, or maybe it's sharing your deepest trauma with that person and you're afraid of judgment. You're afraid that they're going to belittle you, degrade you, or they're going to feel maybe they're going to lose their love for you. And that is very, very difficult. And that is scary for a lot of people, most of us. And that's part of when I said about being open and being vulnerable with each other. And that creates a huge safety element within the relationship. And that is a deep, intimate, and that is the essence of the emotional, mental intimacy with one another, feeling safe that you can talk about anything and everything and understand how you impact one another, right? So those are also a huge way. Another way is, I just talked about this with a couple tonight, or actually earlier today. Are you able to place your hand on one another's heart? Okay, not throat. Well, some people are into that. But are you able to place your hand on each other's heart and just feel it? Feel each other breathing. Feel each other's heartbeat. And just feel that and feel the safety, feel the love between one another. And a lot of people have a hard time doing that as well. And I get it. It's hard when you are disconnected. You don't feel connected or love with each other. But these intimacy tips can help you rebuild that connection, help rebuild that safety. And it takes both of you to do the work, okay? And I get that. I want one person, if they're doing that and building intimacy and the other one doesn't want to, or they can't, or maybe they're not seeking a professional help to allow themselves to be more open and vulnerable and be more intimate on the levels that they want. If they're not willing to do that, then you look at decision making, is it good enough for you to remain in that relationship or that marriage, okay? And again, nothing's perfect, so you be able to do that, okay? So you look at placing each other's hand on each other's heart, feeling each other breathe, and also you can integrate, like I said, number one into this about staring into each other's eyes, why you feel each other breathe, why you feel each other's heartbeat. You want to talk about passionate, deep, intimate with each other, that sense of safety, and that you just feel each other's heart and soul while you're doing that, okay? Plus, think of other things that would build emotional, mental, and physical intimacy with your partner, with each other. You can come up, don't Come up with your own ideas too. Don't be limited to just what I'm bringing up. And one thing, I am one that is not about one size fits all. I never have been that. I have never been like, oh, all women like this. That's intimacy, the women. That's intimacy, the men. I've never been about that, okay? That's why what I do with couples in my office, it needs to be very individualistic. It's not, all women, all men. No, you have to go, how are you, say, if you're a woman, how do you view yourself as a woman? How do you view yourself? What's emotionally intimate to you? What's mentally intimate? What's physically intimate to you? Same thing as a man, right? I'm not like, oh, I'm like all other men. I'm like all other women. No, I want people to get away from that and get more of a individualistic, what works for you, and don't compare yourself to everybody else. It's going on what is intimate to both of you, okay? So it sounds easy. I know it's not. Okay. So that's where I would want you to be able to practice this and be able to look at what does emotional intimacy mean to one another. And a lot of people, oh, Greg, I need to feel safe with that person. I get that. But would also this stuff create a sense of safety with one another? A lot of people are looking at, oh, I need to feel 100% safe with that person or with each other before I can even look into each other's eyes. But also, with these tips, strategies that I'm, delivering tonight, would those also get to know each other more on an intimate level? Would that also help build connection and getting to know each other and build a sense of safety? Right? It's one of those things, right? Chicken cross the road type of thing, right? Or chicken or the egg, what came first? These are tips that you can integrate. And do you feel it, that sense of safety within yourself, that I can be open, I can be, intimate within myself and be proud and not guarded, and I can be open and vulnerable? That would be a great place to be, right? So I appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Check out, I have, a couple self-help courses that you can purchase, very reasonable, on my website, The Art of Relationship Show. So I appreciate everybody tuning in very much. Thank you so much, everybody. Again, theartofrelationships.org is my website. So I want you to be able to tune in and enjoy. And everybody be safe out there. And let's keep spreading peace and love to everybody out there and to the world. Okay. Bye, everybody. Have a good evening. Peace.